everyone, it's Kelly with kellyscards.ca, and this is card number 2 in my Everyday Card Kit number 12 series. So really like this card for a variety of reasons. I created it with these browns and pinks, and wow, did this card ever look awesome. When I added this pink flower to it, it just added so much to this card. Really like the die cut words, and we're going to do a shadow technique. So let's get started. So we're going to open our card base so we make sure we're working on it the right way. And the first piece we're going to put down is this piece here. So I'll just add some adhesive, and really like the colors of brown and pink together. Brown is, I don't know, I guess I kind of feel like it's a bit of a yucky color, but then with the pink it looks so nice. So I really like the combination of the two of those. And you just want to kind of line it up in the center of the panel and the center of the card base. So I'm just using my grid here to kind of make sure it's lined up. And then next, these little pieces that you will find here with the pink polka dots are going to come right up flush beside it. Whenever I adhere a little strip like this, I just like to have a piece of scrap paper in behind, just so I don't get my workspace messy with adhesive. And now I can bring this in and just get this lined up right up against, you want it right up against this panel and then right to the top. And really like how that looks. And then again, we will do the other strip here, so in the same way. And we just want to make sure those ends are done nice all the way to the end so they don't come up. And well, that one didn't quite go all the way to the bottom, so I'll just gently peel this off and do this one more time. And there, that's much better. I'm just going to take my bone folder now and push these on, and I really like how that looks with the white. And I've also cut the edges off with a corner punch here to get this nice rounded corner. Really like how that looks. And now to decorate some of the pieces, you're going to see this circle and a couple die cuts here. There's this one here, which I love. First I die cut a circle, and then I used this love die to cut across here to create our sentiment, and I really like how that looks. And I thought I'd really like to make a shadow. So what we're going to do is we're going to adhere the darker one in behind at a slight angle like this so that you can see the shadow on the word. And I really like how that's going to look. So I'm going to bring my spare paper in again here, and I'm just going to put some adhesive down on this strip, and I'm going to snug it in behind. Now I'm not going to put adhesive on the actual letters, and I'll explain why in a second, but you want to just have a nice bit of a drop shadow here, and we're going to line it up with that bottom piece. And then once that's all laid in, and you can kind of see that there is the shadow there, you can make it bigger if you want by just unpeeling it and moving it. And I think I want a little bit more darkness on there. I like where that's sitting now. And there, I like that. I have this on here now, and I'm just going to sneak in some multi-matte medium in behind these letters. I'm just going to do it, and again, we want to remember where the shadow is, so you don't want to do the places that aren't going to be in the shadow. And that's why I love using this multi-matte medium. I talked about it in the card number 1 and really like it because it dries clear, it doesn't dry shiny, and I just like how it adheres. And look at that. That is looking good. So now I'm just going to lift up a bit of the O here, and I'm just going to use my tool to help me lift that little part up. And again, I just want to get a little bit adhesive on there. I don't want it all wet, just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my fingers and just hold that down a little bit just to apply some pressure so that it will adhere. And I will go on to the next part. And I put a little bit much on there, so I'm just going to bring my tool in to remove that. And again, I can use my tool to remove any excess adhesive that is going to be on there. And I just like this way of doing it because it doesn't get too messy. If I would have put adhesive on the back of this, I wouldn't have known where it would be on the shadow. So by doing this is just a little bit better. And to finish off the last bit, I've got that letter there. And I'm just going to use my fingers to hold it down now so that we make sure that it is adhered nice and strong. As for this shadow, I'm going to try to put just a little bit of glue here down, and to just see if I can get a little bit of this lighter color to touch onto this darker one. You can just move the die cut with your finger, and then you're going to have to hold this just for a couple of seconds to make sure that it is really on there, because we want to see that shadow off of the edge of that E as well. I'm just going to keep pushing here, remove the excess, and now I like that a lot better that it's on there. It may need a little bit more time to dry, this little portion here, but the rest of it looks good now. So we can remove that, and this is going to come in, and you can kind of move your circle to whichever pattern you like. There's a little bit of flower sticking out, and this is going to go right on top of here. And then we're going to have our little word U and our flower to finish this off. So I'm going to bring in my adhesive and right up to the edge of this die cut, and now that will be good to go. And then I'm just going to put very lightly some adhesive of this multi-matte medium onto the dark brown part, like that. And then this whole piece now can get stuck down. I'm just going to use my fingers to guide. Let's see, I want to have, there's a good, I'll just keep moving it around here until I find a spot I kind of like it there. And I'm just going to use my fingers to help line this up so that it is on there where we want it. And then I'm just going to again use my fingers. I'm not going to press overly hard, but I'm just going to put my hands down like this. Whenever I use wet glue, I like to do this so that it just helps it stick a little better, and it hopefully won't get too oozed out of the side. If I were to press a little bit harder, I might get a little bit of a mess, but by doing it this way, it's going to be a lot better. Now that I've got that shadow on there, we can figure out where we want our word U and our flower to go. And I like either the flower on one side and U on the other, or you can move it around so it is the opposite, kind of like it there. And I will just bring in my scrap paper once again and find my tweezers, and I'm going to adhere down this word much like how I did the letters in the very first card of this series. So again, I'm just going to dip the word into this glue, and then I'm just going to tap off the extra because I don't want a mess on my hands, and by doing that, that just helps. So if the flower, here, let's move this in so we can kind of see it. We could have the word right there, and that would look about perfect. And I'm just going to tap it down with my fingers at first, and then again, I'm just going to hold it just to make sure that it adheres well. And that looks great. I really like that. And now I'm going to put this circle on now, and really like layering this up with these die cuts. I'm just going to close this now so I can use my grid, and we want to make sure it's centered both ways. And I'm just going to use this here, this grid paper, to just help me line up so that the word love is nice and straight. And I'm just going to take a peek, and I think that's good. And now I will put this down very carefully. I don't want to rub too hard because again, these die cuts are all on here. And then I have to add my flower. And I'm going to have the flower overlap into this area a little bit just to help add the pop of color from this kind of darky brown color. And I'm going to use a bit of hot glue here. I really like to add my flowers with hot glue. And I'm just going to put this down nice and careful here. I just love how beautiful this flower looks. It just adds a nice pop of pink like that. Really nice. And to just complete this card on the front, I really like to add a little bit of bling just to pull a little bit more of the pink out. And again, sometimes I find this really helps with some of the duller colors. Like this isn't an overly bright pink, and this is obviously brown, so it's not a very bright color. But by doing accents like this, it really helps just pretty up the card and kind of pull it all together. So really like that, how that looks. And now just to complete the inside of the card, I have made inserts for us to put in, and they have the rounded corners as well, just to fit with the look of the card. And again, I've mentioned this before, but I like to complete the inside of the card even when it's a white inside, because I just like how that looks. And we'll just put this in here like that. And this will finish up this card. Really like this card. Love the shadow of the letters. And even again with the duller colors, by having a bit of bright accents, really helps pull the colors from the card. And really like the patterns. There's a bit of a busier pattern, kind of a medium pattern, and then some quiet papers on here. And I find that it all looks really good together when you kind of choose papers like that. Again, a busier one, kind of a medium one, and then one that's pretty plain to almost nothing on it. And really like that combination. So that will finish up this second card in my Everyday Card Kit number 12 series. There are 3 more cards on the way. If you want to check out the playlist, it will be linked below. You can check me out on my website and subscribe for more videos, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.